everybody, Michelle McClunan here, astrologer and life navigator, and I'm bringing you an astrology update for the next new moon, which is a big one because it's on the same day in some places or very shortly after the equinox, the March equinox. So there's lots going on in March, as I've already said. If you didn't watch my last update, it's still relevant, but this one is really a continuation of that and moving firmly into the new year, into the new astrological year. So on the 20th of March, we have the equinox. In the southern hemisphere, it's the autumn equinox. In the northern hemisphere, it's the spring equinox. No matter where you live, basically what the equinox is where the sun moves into Aries, which is basically the start of a whole new year. So this is really our new year. So this is really new beginnings, whether you're in the southern hemisphere, the northern hemisphere, whether you're going into spring or autumn, this is a time of new beginnings. Now, the equinox point, if you look at the equinox point, what it is that point where the day is equal to the night. So we have equal day and equal night all over the place, and it's seen as a portal, as a time where the dimensions between the form and the formless are thinner, when the veil is thinner. And so we get to actually connect at a deeper level with something more profound than the changing sort of sands of time. So that's the equinox point. It's a point of balance. It's a point of renewal. And it's a point where if we open to it, we can really soak in the energy of renewal. So just to see the equinox as part of this new moon, because the new moon follows it quite quickly after. So in South Africa, we've got the equinox on the 20th in the evening, and then the next day is the new moon, which is in Aries at 1 degree. Now that's not always the case. You don't always have a new moon following an equinox. So this time there's it's a double feeling of renewal, of rebirth, of something new starting to arise. That's not the only thing that's happening, because in 4 weeks from now, we have yet another new moon in Aries, which is unusual that you have two new moons in the same sign. So the first one on the 21st is at 1 degree of Aries, and on the 20th of April, we have the second one, which is at 29 degrees, at the very, very final degree of Aries. So really the equinox and a new moon is time to release the old and to plant seeds for the new cycle. Not only for a month cycle, as a normal new moon is, but for a full year, because this is the beginning of our astrological year. So it's just to see this weekend and this next week as a time of renewal, as a time of regeneration, as a time to really release what we don't need, what no longer is aligned with who we are. As we've experienced this Saturn's move into Pisces, there's a shift in who am I? Am I this form? Am I this name? Am I this career? Am I this role? Or is there something more? So we've been called upon to actually really strengthen our spiritual root, the connection that we have to all of us, to everything, to everyone. That's what this next few years is actually going to be about. So on the 21st in South Africa, we've got the new moon in Aries, as I said. There's a lot of energy in Aries, this new moon. So if you have a lot of Aries in your chart, be it the sun, the moon, the ascendant, or other planets, then this might be more particular or more specific to you. Also, if you're a cardinal sign, so if you're a Cancerian or Libran or Capricorn or an Aries, this new moon will often depict a new beginning of some kind, something that you might have been working on, but now is actually starting to gather momentum. It's a chance to actually really renew and start again and to regenerate. There is a connection with this new moon to the planet Pluto. It's a favorable connection, which means that there is the chance to let go of what we don't need and plant new seeds. So it's almost like a clearing of the field, if you like. Any old conditioned patterns that we might feel are holding us back, we might be shown our patterns, this new moon. It could be quite fiery, it's passionate, it's impulsive. There's this sort of energy of, it's sort of an engine running. There's something that's building, and there's the potential to actually manifest. If you're not manifesting it on the outside, then just be sure that on the inside, there is a process of regeneration going on, and there is something new arising. So this new moon really ushers in this year of transformation, of shift, of change. So many planets are moving into new signs. There's so many energetic shifts that I don't believe that the world is going to be the same at the end of the year as it was at the beginning, which is always the case because we are constantly in the flow of cycles. There are what we see as endings and what we see as beginnings, but really it's just an ongoing journey, an ongoing cycle. So it's not to be too concerned about endings and beginnings, but to feel the energy of them anyway. So if there's something you need to release, release it. If there's something that you need to plant, plant it. So we're working with the cycles of the universe, of the universal flow. So the new moon is very powerful. It's a very, very, very powerful time to set those intentions. So take some time on the new year, over the equinox in the new year. I would say, do a sort of a ceremony or some kind of little ritual where you let go of what you no longer need on the equinox. You reach that place of balance. You get into a place of presence, of balance. We'll be on our retreat at that time, so we'll definitely be doing something special there. A very nice thing to do at the equinox is to write something down on a piece of paper that you want to release. Release it into a fire, because fire transmutes. It's a transformative element. It's an alchemical element. And this is a time of alchemical change. So use that time to actually release and then plant the seeds the next day. So do something to plant the seed of how you want to feel, not necessarily what you want to achieve, because as we know, the energies right now are not really permitting us in many cases to see the full outcome, to see the full picture of dreams and things that we might want to achieve in the outside world. But what we can do is connect with the feeling of how we want to feel going forward. Do we want to feel restricted? Do we want to feel open? Do we want to feel controlled? Do we want to feel liberated? Now, on that level, we also have Pluto, which I've discussed before, but it's the other big shift in March. Pluto is moving into the sign of Aquarius. Now, the last time that Pluto in Aquarius was about 250 years ago, so we have never experienced that as humans on our planet before. What we do know is that over the last, since 2008, Pluto's been in the sign of Capricorn, and it's been very much a theme of sort of top-down government, top-down control. A lot of information, a lot of energy has been put into building the banking systems and transforming the way we do business. And then obviously we've had the last 3 years, which we all know about. Now, Pluto is now moving into Aquarius, which Aquarius is a sign of liberation. Pluto is the sign of transformation and power. Aquarius is also the sign of the people, where Capricorn is more the sign of governments, top-down structures. So the way I see Pluto moving into Aquarius is kind of dual, because there's going to be ups and downs with it. But on the level of the humanitarianism, humanity, the people, Pluto moving into Aquarius can be, and usually is, where the people take power back. So there can be revolutions. It's a revolutionary energy where the people stand up and say, no, we are the people. This is how we want to live. We want to live in a liberated way, possibly. How can we actually live with a less centralized government, for example? So all of those things can come up with Pluto going into Aquarius. The last time we had the American Revolution, the French Revolution. So we'll see what happens this time. It's a 20-year process. So Pluto will dip into Aquarius just for a few months, and then in 2024 it moves in more permanently until 2043. So this is a long process of transformation, and I believe it can be a process of magic where we actually get to discover new technologies that are actually helpful to us as a humanity, as a species. So the other part of Aquarius is Aquarius rules things like astrology, metaphysics, energy, grids, energy lines, crystals, anything that is out of the ordinary is new technology. It rules technology on all levels. So on the upside of that, we could see some amazing new technologies happening over the next 20 years that will actually help us to really connect with energy on a higher level, to realize that we are energetic beings. We're not just physical beings. We're spiritual beings, energetic beings having a physical experience. So Pluto into Aquarius will actually start to consolidate that. On the less sort of attractive option, we also have possibly control and power through technology. So we're going to be seeing a lot more AI. If you haven't looked at chatbot, for example, you can kind of put something into this AI system, which I haven't looked at, but it'll basically spit out whatever you want it to. So you can kind of put in a theme, you can put up in a subject, and within a few minutes you'll get an essay. You can then take another part of that, put it into another AI program, and produce a video without you really doing anything. That'll be happening simultaneously to us actually saying, where is our power as humans? I think that it's going to be very important for us to ground into Mother Earth, to connect with community, like-minded communities, to stand together as community in terms of how we want to live. And that's what we're going to see unfolding over the next 20 years. But this is the beginning part. It's going to give us a little bit of an insight into it. And I think Saturn's move through Aquarius over the last 3 years has given us a little bit of that, which I discussed in my last video, where we've actually started to become more online than we ever were before. Now, this is going to be, how do we actually balance it? How do we still stay in a situation where we're actually connecting face to face? We were actually connecting physically. We were able to show people affection. We were able to connect with nature, with nature's cycles. And I believe it's going to be more and more important for us to reconnect with nature's cycles so that we can actually reconnect with the more real side of who we are. So that's Pluto into Aquarius. And then the last thing is to mention is Mars moving into a Cancer. I think it's on the 25th. So Mars has been in Gemini since August last year, which is a very, very long Mars transit, where there's been a lot of energy and communication, a lot of information coming at us and trying to sort of filter out what's true, what's not true, what's real, what's not real, a lot of fake news on all levels. And we've had to rely on a deeper sense of our own intuition. Now Mars is moving into the sign of Cancer, which is the sign of family and home, soul family, soul home. There's a thrust towards that. It's a gentler but very powerful thrust. So I think this new moon and the equinox and this period is to ask ourselves, where is our true home? Is it out there somewhere in some building, or is it in here? And I would say it's in here. And that's what we are being asked to connect with. The other thing about the new moon is that it's in a very close alignment, even though there's a lot of Aries planets. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Aries planets, this new moon. The sun and the moon are in a very close alignment with Neptune. And Neptune is the planet of spirituality. It's the planet of surrender. So when we have an alignment like that, there's a forward thrusting energy of moving towards our goals, and there's a surrender. Because Neptune's saying, okay, not too quick, surrender. Don't push, don't force, surrender to the flow of the energy and move in the direction that you're actually being prompted to move in, without a huge focus on what the outcome is going to be. So it's sort of surrendered action. So it's to allow that sort of almost that excited feeling of something new bubbling, and then to still flow with where we're being directed. Because that is what this energy is about. We're flowing with it. We're not standing saying, no, I'm not moving. We're opening to the flow. So I did pull a card because this is a very big new moon. And I pulled a card called Sarada Devi, which I have never pulled before. It's again out the pack, The Divine Feminine by Megan Watterson. I really suggest this pack. If it resonates with you, it resonates with me. And what she says, unconditional love exists within me. The presence of love is the absence of judgment. That's a biggie. That's very much a non-dual way of seeing the world. She embodies the feminine power that initiates seekers onto a spiritual path through unconditional love. So she was somewhat of a guru. She taught with her husband, and she was known to treat everybody the same. She loved everybody unconditionally and equally. In her teaching, she emphasized that there's no such thing as a stranger. She encouraged her devotees to understand that everyone we meet is actually a part of us and is connected to us. That's very much this energy of Pluto moving into Aquarius. We are one family. If we want to experience true peace, we need to own the fault and judgment that we project onto others. We need to see our own faults and forgive them with love. She whispers gently to us, no one is a stranger, my child. The whole world is your own. So if something keeps showing up in the people we meet and in the relationships we are cultivating, she asks us to meet them from within, meaning the aspects of the other person that might be causing us pain or frustration or just plain aversion. These same aspects exist within us. Unless we are willing to really meet with these aspects within us, the universe will keep presenting them to us in our relationships. It's not to piss us off, it's to free us. It's out of a deep love for us to fully heal. The goal here is for us to love ourselves fiercely from within, without judgment or shame, or where we are in the moment. No judgment. The goal is to let us mother ourselves with unconditional love. That's the only love that will quiet those harsh, critical voices within us. So we can stop wasting our time mired in judgment of ourselves or others and get along with being the perfectly imperfect light that we are. And the soul voice meditation is, what am I currently judging or criticizing about myself? And can I let it go? What am I currently judging or criticizing about someone else? And can I let that go? So that really does kind of sum up the themes this month, with Mars moving into Cancer, which is that mothering, that nurturing, with Pluto moving into Aquarius, which is we are all one, we're all one family, with the new. It's a new way of seeing the world, and that is what we're moving into as we shift dimensions. We're moving into the love vibration, which is where we're all one. We're not separate. So when we see separation in somebody else, it's to see it and say, okay, where is this separation within me? If I'm seeing judgment, if I'm judging someone else, where is that exact thing that I'm seeing in that person in me? Where do I have that? And one of the tools that we often talk about is whenever you have a judgment, and you say to yourself, so-and-so is so X, Y, Z, you just follow it with the words, just like me. It's probably the most humbling thing we can ever do. And it's a way of actually really seeing ourselves in a kind way, but not taking ourselves out of the picture. Because if we're triggered by someone else, the trigger exists within us. If we see someone else as greedy, there's greed within us. If we see someone else as cruel, there's cruelty within us. If we see someone else as being sad, there's sadness within us. So it's just to really see we are all connected. And this is, I think, another thing with the Pluto is going to play out over the next 20 years, is the discovery, the acknowledgement, the realization that we are all connected, that we are not separate, that we're all energetically a tapestry. So that when you shift the tapestry. When you change your vibration, when you enter into a vibration of love, you are emitting that and radiating it and rippling it out into the universe. Same thing with the opposite. So it's just for us to be really cognizant of that. And then just lastly, I did just pulled another card came up out of the pack, Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron Reed. And it was just also resonant with this new moon, which was regeneration. And the essential meanings are rebirth, second chances, and new opportunities. Second chances are available now. Whatever opportunities you thought were dead are now revived in a more authentic, stronger form. That's really resonant with this new moon and the equinox. Whatever you may have perceived as a failure or a loss is now being replaced by something better, something more powerful, growing in its place. This rebirth is assured. Step into your new life. Destiny is being fulfilled in wondrous ways. So I love that. So I think that's a good note to end on. I wish you all a beautiful equinox, an amazing new moon. Remember to plant those seeds and remember to do it lovingly. Remember to treat yourself with gentleness. Treat others with gentleness. People are moving through a lot right now. So just keep reconnecting with the breath. Keep bringing yourself back into flow, into this moment. That's where our power lies. Thanks for listening, everyone. If this resonated with you, please subscribe and click the notification button. I put a video out every 2 weeks. And if you would like a reading, I have got a bit of a wait, but you're welcome to contact me through my website, and the details are below. Thanks, everyone. Lots of love.